Hey guys, it's Michael. Welcome back to Michael in the Morning. Today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020, and this is your second stimulus check and second stimulus package update. We have a lot of big news to cover because in today's video, we're going to go over how the bipartisan group of House lawmakers unveiled a new $1.5 trillion stimulus package yesterday. And after this, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi told CNBC that the House will not leave Washington until a second stimulus package is passed. So this is huge news. She said, "We are committed to staying here in Washington until we have an agreement reached and until we pass more stimulus." Next up, we're going to go over how Nancy Pelosi also said on CNBC's Squawk Box that she remained opposed to the Republicans' effort from a smaller stimulus bill. She said she still wants a large stimulus package and how that is what they're looking for in this bill. Moving on, the House of Representatives was originally scheduled to adjourn on October 2nd so lawmakers could go home for their campaign trails leading up until the election, but now this officially will be delayed. And finally, we're going to go over what top officials say about the new bipartisan stimulus bill that was announced yesterday, what their feelings are on it, and if it will actually pass. But before we get started, it would really mean a lot if you could like the video down below and subscribe to my channel. It's completely free to do so, and it currently says that about 50% of you watching are not subscribed. So if you'd like to stay up to date on the second stimulus check, second stimulus package, as well as other news updates, well then please be sure to subscribe. Also, don't forget you can get a free stock valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below, and you can get $20 immediately when you download the M1 finance app as well. So yesterday, as a bipartisan group of House lawmakers unveiled a new $1.5 trillion stimulus proposal, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke on CNBC, and she told them that the House will not leave Washington until a second stimulus package is passed. She said, "We are committed to staying here until we have an agreement that meets the needs of the American people." During a private conference call with House Democrats on Tuesday morning, Pelosi remained firm in the negotiation position she's held up until this point, saying that scaling back the party's position on the stimulus bill is a non-starter, that she's not willing to go down from the price tag she originally said. She explained how a skinny deal is not a deal at all. She said what the Republicans proposed last week that was rejected, that wasn't a real deal and that wouldn't have helped anyone. She goes on to express hope that the Trump administration could come around to the Democrats' point of view and said that we're optimistic that the White House at least will understand that we have to do something major right now and pass a drastic second stimulus package. So ultimately, Nancy Pelosi made clear in this interview that she was not backing off of the firm position held by Democratic leaders on the scale and scope of any final relief deal. But she did make a commitment to the anxious members of her caucus that the House would stay in session until an agreement is reached. However, while this is good news that she agreed to stay in session until a deal is reached, it's important to keep in mind that if she isn't willing to compromise and isn't willing to come down, well then it will still be hard to reach an agreement because it doesn't matter if they just stay in session if Republicans aren't willing to come up. So while she said they will stay in session, that is good, but if they're not willing to come down and both sides can't compromise, it doesn't matter how long they are staying in session for. Moving on, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke with CNBC's Squawk Box, and she said that she remains opposed to a Republicans' effort to pass a smaller version of the stimulus plan despite the looming 2020 election and economic fallout from the pandemic. Asked by CNBC's Jim Cramer if she'd be willing to pass a skinny deal now and reconvene with the Republicans on another bill later, she said that this is the opportunity right now, and the skinny deal is a Republican deal that's not a bill at all. She says it's not legitimate, it wouldn't help anyone. Pelosi goes on to explain how they're making a skinny, in fact, Chuck Schumer and her call it an emaciated proposal for a massive problem in the economy. She said you can't solve a huge problem with such a small bill. She goes on to say that we can and need to fiscally spend the appropriate amount of money to meet the needs of the American people. So ultimately, she said, it's stimulus. And since we are a consumer economy, the more stimulus we have, whether it's for food stamps or unemployment insurance, that is stimulus to the economy, and it will help everyone. So basically, any money passed in the form of stimulus will trickle down in the economy and help everyone. It'll create more jobs, help people pay their bills. It'll just help everyone. Next up is the U.S. House of Representatives was originally scheduled to adjourn on October 2nd until after the election to allow its members to start their election campaign trails. However, the issue now is that many House Democrats have been very anxious because a lot of people were expecting them to come home with a bill already passed. So these House Democrats have been pressuring Nancy Pelosi and other party leaders to break the logjam between the Republicans and Democrats on a bill, and they said that they are eager to pass a bill to help struggling Americans, even if that means giving concessions to Republicans who have called for a smaller bill. In response to this, Nancy Pelosi came out and she said that that is why they won't go home until a bill is passed. That was her effort to address these concerns, even though she didn't address exactly how they will come to an agreement, since she's not really willing to compromise on the price tag and they don't have a vote scheduled in the next 3 weeks yet. And finally, Pelosi didn't directly address the new bipartisan stimulus bill that the Problem Solvers Caucus released yesterday on Tuesday, but several Democratic lawmakers came out and made clear that there were no expectations that this bill would move forward in talks. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, a Maryland Democrat, told reporters that he thinks the problem solvers are lower than would be a responsible deal, but he thinks their ideas are useful and this bill may encourage their Republican friends to come up and increase their price tag in the next relief package. He goes on to explain how a deal would come as soon as the administration wants to talk in reasonable terms, and that the House may technically remain in session while leadership attempts to negotiate, but lawmakers could still return home and campaign while on notice that they need to return to Washington if a deal comes together. So he said ultimately what is probably going to happen is that lawmakers would be able to return home for their election campaign trails, and the top lawmakers would simply stay in Washington, D.C. to come to an agreement. So anyways, that is just a quick update on the second stimulus check and second stimulus package as of Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Don't forget to get a free stock valued up to $1,600 when you download the Webull investing app using the link down below, and get $20 immediately when you download the M1 Finance app as well. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like the video down below, leave a comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.